Hi everyone and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have Mick Butler. Mick is a local Labour Councillor for Southwick, which is my area, and he's also a captain in the army, in the reserves army. So you're in the RAMC, Mick?
That's right, Joe. Royal Army Medical Corps, as I'm sure many people are familiar with.
Yeah. And what they're not familiar with is captains coming from Southwick, unless it's a pirate ship.
well, I'm sure there's a few pirates around, but no, you're right, Joe. There isn't. Well, I don't know any army officers in Southwick. I'm sure there has been over the years and previous, conflicts and things like that. When you look at sort of gravestones, military gravestones and things, but not in recent years. I don't know any.
No, I don't come across any. No, I'm proud to be from Southwick, mate. And it's
right.
anything that happens, it's good. I think for the community.
It is. I absolutely love the area, Joe. I'm born and bred here. I still live here, and I mean, hopefully, other people will look and maybe think, well, if Mick can be an army officer, then why can't I?
Exactly.
And I think we need to encourage that, Joe, don't we?
We especially need to encourage people to join the reserves, to be honest, because it's a great thing. I've had some other reserve officers on, and the benefits it's really good. Like
huge. It's you kind of get the best of both worlds as well, Joe. It's the best decision that I've ever made, and I think
other than coming on this podcast,
obviously, yeah, it goes without saying. But I think it was early 2019 that I first went in. The recruitment process was quite a long process, but it got there in the end because obviously there's a lot of boards you've got to sit, and then get passed to go on to Sandhurst and things like that, and then you've got to get through that. It was great. It's the best decision I've ever made. I've made some absolutely fantastic friends all over the country, and I'm really enjoying it.
I think that's the main thing anybody takes from the military, isn't it? That the people that you meet.
It is, and it's just a vast array, really. It's a vast array of sort of religions, backgrounds, and do you know what? Everyone's there for pretty much the same reason, to try and help society, to try and help the country, to move forward and serve the crown, I guess. And do you know what? No one's bothered where you're from, what your background is.
When the thing that sticks in my mind when I joined when I was 16, it was meeting people from different parts of the country. But the biggest thing was the music tastes, because sort of your music taste is your own, probably is what's in your house, your family home. But then your music taste is your friends when you're in school are more or less the same. So then I went to like people share a room, kid from Bristol, someone from London, all different kinds. And that's the one thing that sticks in my mind, the difference in people's music tastes.
In music tastes. And it is strange. It's not just music, it's sport as well. Most people obviously going into the army are pretty fit and things like that. But there's always that common theme running through your cohort or your unit of sport, and you can be Sunderland fan, Newcastle fan. The banter there is absolutely top class, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you're all coming together for one purpose, and that's to me that's what real loyalty and unity actually is. Striving for that one target or that one object.
Going back to sport, right? When I joined, obviously I love football, but never had any bit of interest in rugby. And the army was fucking right on for rugby,
It is.
And then they wanted me to be the little bloke that gets it, I don't know, it's the scrum, hangs on people and kicks the ball out, kicks it back.
Is that the fly half? I think I'm not sure.
I avoided it at all costs, me, because it's fine when you're hanging on someone's shoulders kicking the ball, but when there's a 20-stone bloke smashing into you, it's not good.
I was never very good at football. Obviously, being from Sunderland, we all play football, I guess. I got into martial arts and I was a little bit better than I was at football. But it really, really sort of changed my view was the rugby thing. It is huge in the army, isn't it? And I went to watch a couple of games. And grappling and martial arts is obviously contact sports and can be quite frisky at times, we might say. But when I went to watch rugby, I couldn't believe what they were doing to each other. You know, and I mean, you could hear the impact from 30, 40 yards away in the crowd of these 20-stone fellas just hitting each other at, what, 15 mile an hour that they were running at. And I just thought, that's not a sport for me. I don't know how they go so long in the sport, to be honest.
I've never been to a rugby match, right? I've always fancied going to one, and then we got tickets to the Army and Navy rugby, and then it got cancelled because of COVID.
Right.
So I've still never been to one. I always wanted to go to one of the local ones, but they've got Newcastle in the title, and I wasn't going to watch any team that's got Newcastle in the title.
Well,
you know, I'd just stay with them.
Well, I've got to say, I went to St James's to watch. It was like Wigan and teams like that, and I did feel a little bit treacherous being in the ground. But being in the ground, it doesn't matter really, does it?
Well, when we're normally there, we normally win, so that's always a good thing.
Well,
when
this is it, but this is it, and hopefully, if they come down and we go up, that might be the case again, mate.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. Yeah, if we move on a little bit about your career in politics, how did that come about?
I'm not sure whether I would call it a career, Joe, but
hey, you're in it.
That's very true. I took an interest a significant interest during the last refugee crisis, I think, about 2015, when things started to kick off with later on in the Arab Spring. I know that preceded 2015, but I just got really interested in global politics, and then you kind of just resolve the world's problems from a small place in Southwick. And I used to get really frustrated over not being able to solve issues. And one of my best friends, Warren, he actually seen this, and he said to us, Mick, he said, just start small. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He says, well, try and help things in your local area first. And I didn't have a clue how to go about it. I'd done charity work and events and things like that. But I didn't have a clue about politics. So, you start to research the different parties, this, that, and the other. I'm a left-leaning politician, really. There's no two ways about it. I'm empathetic. I'm a health professional. And so I aligned myself with the Labour Party. And that's what I felt represented my values, like equality and things like that, quite closely. So I joined, started getting involved in the local area, and there's not as many people as people might assume involved in politics. And I would encourage everyone, because that's democracy. It doesn't matter what views, what party you join, get involved and try and make the world or your area a better place. And then I was asked to say, listen, would you stand for us in the elections? And the only place I would really stand is Southwick. So I did stand in Southwick, and because I'm a local lad, I think I've got a good moral compass. I consider myself as honest and loyal, and I done well in the elections, and I got voted in. And it's just been a million miles an hour since that day that I was voted in. And people ask why I do it, and I always say, well, first and foremost, my opinion is that you need someone quite local to the area to represent it to its full value. And it's very difficult. I'm not saying people who come from outside the area wouldn't do a good job, because I've seen that happen. And on the flip side, just because you're from the area doesn't mean you automatically do a good job. But you have a vested interest in the area, and you can be held to account quite rightly, for not working hard and not doing your job. And I really do hope I do that, because I do it to the best of my ability, and I work as hard as I can certainly for the residents in the wider city, really.
Well, this probably might sound a little bit ignorant, but I've never ever voted, and I'm 51. Not once. Never voted.
It's difficult, Joe.
When my daughter was 7, she was kind of interested in it. So since then, I let her vote for me, but only if she reads up on it and then tells us the pros and cons, and then she can have the vote whenever she wants. I tell you what's kind of funny,
advice, isn't it?
What's kind of funny though, the first time she did it when she was 7, she was leaning towards either UKIP or the Green Party. She wasn't sure.
That's two extremes.
Exactly, one extreme to the other. So luckily she went for the Green Party.
Aye, and that's it. And the thing is, Joe, we've all, this is democracy. We get our vote, and we can vote for whoever we want. Doesn't matter what party it is. That's democracy, and I think there needs to be more of an acceptance of people's views. Having that discussion is fair enough, and I think once you sit down with the majority of people, you'll always find something in common. For instance, back to the sporting arena, you go to a Sunderland match, you don't sit there and talk who you vote for, speak about who you vote for. You're there for Sunderland. It's as simple as that. So that's the power of sport, I believe, and the power of community. And I fully encourage kids to get into sort of gyms and things like that, because it doesn't matter what differences you have, you'll rarely come across bigotry and racism, certainly in local gyms that I've been to, because no one's bothered. No one's bothered what you do, who you are, who you vote for, and rightly so. And I think there needs to be more collaboration with everyone in communities, rather than this sort of social media sniping at each other. Because the problem with that is people are much more happy to say things on social media than they would be to your face, and there's a bit of a disconnect there. And it's really strange. I'm only on Twitter. I don't go on Facebook or Instagram because of a lot of the negativity that I see. And I think I said it to you, Jar, at one point. I'm not interested in hearing problems. I'm interested in hearing and getting solutions, because that's ultimately how we progress and move forward. Otherwise, you just look in the past and you just mourn all the time.
Well, the lasses in the office run our social media, but I do like Instagram, because all I do is put photos. I don't write anything underneath it. So it's normally of my daughter or us doing whatever mad sport, I mean, my daughter, you talk about martial arts. She did Taekwondo for about 3-4 years till she got her black belt.
All right.
So I said at the beginning, I was like, well, if you're going to start, like, you have to do it all the way to the black belt. You kind of give up, but as soon as you get the black belt, you can give up. But I thought when she get the black belt, she would stay, and she went back to the thing for one go to show everyone a black belt, and then she back in. But that was the rules, like. So
it's choices, Jar. It's a funny one, because when I was young, I'll have been 10-year-old. The first kickboxing class I went to was up Southwick Green, above Azad videos. Can you remember Azad? So it was above Azad, and it was great. Loved it. So I'd done that for a few years, and it closed down. And obviously, I wanted to keep me hand in martial arts, and I was kind of pressured into it by my dad. Coming from Southwick, I think Southwick dads always want you to be a little bit tough, and I wasn't naturally that way inclined. I was a very gentle kid, might we say. And anyway, that closed, and my dad said, right, let's take you to boxing. And I says, all right, yeah, I'll go to boxing. It was Lambton Street, just beside, I think it was 9th Street, behind where the cinema was.
Blue Monkey.
Is that where that was it?
Behind the Blue Monkey,
I'm too I'm too young, Joe, to remember that. But so my dad took us there, and we went on the bags, and we were doing, and everyone was nice and kind. Then we got in sparring, and I got my head punched in, and because the kickboxing wasn't that, so it's not violent, but it wasn't. It was quite gentle, touch sparring, and amateur boxing gyms. The breed some tough people. So I didn't like it, and my dad actually made us go, which, it's got its pros and cons. I don't believe you should be made to do anything, but that was it. And I mean, I think you'll know Anthopper, who's got the gym next door.
Well, yeah, of course, huh?
So Anth was actually boxing there, and Anth's been 6'4" since we were like 10, 11-year-old. And I remember sparring with Anth and getting my head punched in. But years later, like, he couldn't remember because we were only kids then. And funny enough, how life turns round is I got into grappling when I was 16. It's like the year 2000. So I went to Marine House down Seaburn and trained with a fella called Steve Black. And that's when I seen Anth, and I said, Anth, why don't you get into this, get into grappling and training? He's like, oh, I'm more of a boxer and things like that. I says, it's really enjoyable. So he did. He come over, and Anth kind of stuck it out from then. And he's made up a great gym. But I kind of moved on from Steve's, and I went to train with a fella called Warren up Spartan Gym in Hilton Castle. And again, back to the gym environment, I think it either makes you or breaks you. And thankfully, we're predominantly a men's class. And it was just nice to be around other fellas that, give you encouragement, have some kind of belief. And it's not just martial arts, it's life. And I got some great encouragement to get into university and go into, higher education, which, I mean, you're not really told that, or I wasn't told that at school. And a lot of us didn't have kind of influential fellas or people around us, and I think that's a really important aspect to have that encouragement and belief. Other people to have belief that you can do more. I never thought leaving school or I'd go to university. Never ever. It wasn't even a thing. It wasn't mentioned until I got into a gym. And I said I'm really interested in sport, physiotherapy, and I was encouraged to do that essentially from the gym, nowhere else.
Well, it's funny you talk about Anth, because Danny Hopper's been training us in boxing.
Yes, he was saying.
So we have we there's a charity called Maverick Star Boxing from Liverpool. The guy who was part of that is a Sunderland fan. And he knew about us, so he contacted us. And this was before lockdown, the first lockdown. And he was like, oh, we'll pay for you to do this course. So I got Danny involved. And then after lockdown, we've managed to do it. But they liked it so much that Vix has funded another 8-week course. I do it as well. It's really good. Like,
it's such a cliche, Joe, but I mean, I think we all know the benefits to exercise and training for both physical health, but more so mental health, especially within the veteran community. There isn't anything better. Obviously I follow you and Sean on Strava, and I love seeing people getting out and doing something. But I think it's a big step. It's a big step for those that haven't exercised or trained for a long time. And I did notice one of the lads who, I see sort of on out and about with Vix, and I don't know him. I don't know his name. But I've seen him down Les's gym, Fitness 2000, which I get down at once or twice a week to do weights. And I noticed another lad who I don't know him. I think my dad knew him, who done a lot of, I want to say he was a Marine, but I'm not sure. But I know he'd done a lot of work in Iraq, in Afghan as a private contractor and things. And he was helping one of your lads. And I think that's great, taking other people under the wing that maybe hasn't got that experience and just helping them out.
It's a
and
camaraderie,
do
mate.
wonders.
It's camaraderie in it. So, and people are happy to pass on what they know about things, and Les, talking about
100%.
Les is brilliant for us. Since we started, he's offered free memberships for people. They do circuits 4 times a week with Sam. It's class.
Well, Les is another one that I met through martial arts, and I'm sure he won't mind us talking about it, but Les is from Nigeria, and he came over and got involved with the gym, and my coach Warren kind of took him under his wing a little bit, and came and said, listen, if you want to train, I'll help you out and things. Again, it's back to that camaraderie and gym environment, promoting good behaviors. And I know in our gym in the later years, if you acted yourself, or if you didn't behave accordingly, might we say, outside of the gym, and it brought not shame, but could bring the gym and people's names into disrepute, you'd be gone. You'd be asked to leave. You'd be given a chance, but eventually, if you're bringing sort of the gym into disrepute, you would be asked to leave. And most people do sort of go down the right path from that. And I've seen it happen over and over and over again. I'm not just saying it's a gym environment, but I think it's it's being in that circle of friends and having positive influences, because it's so easy for people from areas like us to follow the wrong path.
It is, especially from Southwick, man.
Well, this is it, yeah, and that's the funny thing. It's people need a good alternative, and if you haven't got a good alternative, what do? You've got to earn a living.
Well, this is it. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I love living in Southwick. I've lived there most of my life. Lived at Tenant Farm for the first 10 years of my life. I was born in Southwick, moved to Tenant Farm on my first birthday. Come back to Southwick when I was about 11, I think.
Honestly,
but I haven't I've really haven't got a sort of moving, to be honest, because everything I want's where I am. I'm close to work. I'm close to the gym, the match.
Perfect.
It's walking distance everywhere. The beach.
It really is, Jar, and looking at Southwick for me, it's kind of the heart of North Sunderland. You've got to pass through Southwick to get to the beach. You've got to pass through Southwick to get to the town. So we're right in the centre, and it's brilliant. You're right. I can't see myself ever moving out of the area. I don't see why I would. The people here are the salt of the earth, and we haven't got much in Southwick, but I think we're different, and it's strange because if somebody who isn't from the area is walking through Southwick, you immediately think, I haven't seen them before. But on the flip side, we welcome people. We welcome people into the area. Hopefully, people have seen a difference in Southwick over the past few years with the green and obviously the Remembrance Sunday events, which we're really trying to promote this year. I'm after a bugler, actually.
We'll speak after this. I'll be able to get you a bugler. We can sort that out. We have to obviously they're busy on Remembrance Day.
That's the thing.
So we'll have to try and get one sorted for you. But I'll try my best.
Champion.
Right, is there anything you want to get out before we wrap it up?
Not really, but thank you to Vix and all your sort of staff who, I think it's going back to 2017. I think I first ran the Sunderland 10K for you, and I think I've done it every year since. So I would encourage all your viewers to chip in where they can, help out where they can, and text your friends, give them a call, give them a ring, make sure they're doing all right, and keep that veteran community tight and look after each other.
Right, nice one, Mick. Thank you very much for coming on, and I'll speak to you soon.
Aye, cheers, Joe.
Cheers, Paul.